Welcome and welcome back to Dripping in Alchemy. My name is Starr, and today I wanted to share something that I think many come to, a threshold you come to on this pathway and on this journey, when you start to see that actually becoming an intuitive, deciding to work on your intuitive knowings, understanding that you are psychic, understanding that you are a soul that is sensitive to this life, when you start to really tap into that energy on an expansive path, a spiritual pathway, a healing journey, you start to understand that the notion that you thought that this was going to make life easier just completely isn't true. But at the same time, it works itself out. And at the beginning of this pathway, I had no idea what was going on with me. I went through quite a violent awakening back in 2022. Nothing was making sense to me. You have to completely lose your mind in order to find it again. And that was very much what happened to me. I was very lucky that someone didn't find me, because I think I might have been locked up in my expression with regards to that. And I thought that I was sick. I thought that I was ill. I had to take a week off work. And the only thing that made sense to me was for me to lay in a bath and have some crystals around me. And I would fall asleep in the bath. Things were not making sense to me. Every aspect of life that once existed was completely slipping through my fingers, and I thought, I have no idea what is going on, but something just doesn't make sense anymore that used to make sense to me. And I think the only saving grace, or the thing that did save me from my family being really worried, was the fact that I said, I think I'm losing my mind, because to them at least that told them that I was aware enough to know that something was unstable within me. Otherwise, I think that they thought that I perhaps have fully lost my mind. But there was a pathway within me that I just didn't hold any fear in this expression. And I think that I resided to, if I pass in this time, then there's a reason for it. And I didn't have any fear of that at that time, at least I remember. But I just thought there is something absolutely chaotic going on, but there was a space within me that just felt very calm and very stable about it all. And I very much felt like I was just having to trust what was being put in front of me. And there were things that would come to my attention that I needed. It was like soups that I should be making, or teas and herbs that I should be drinking, or crystals that I specifically needed to have in the pathway for me that I already had, already purchased already. And I just thought, something is telling me and showing me the way, but this is not a voice that I've been listening to before. This is not a notion that I've been experiencing before. And the pathway just continued, and it got easier, it got harder, it got more difficult. And the more sensitive that you become in this world, I think the more difficult it is to be here. And I've been in some real deep depths of disclosure with regards to what is truly going on in the world. Conspiracies, if you want to call that. I just call them facts and truths at this moment in time. So for some years, I've been in the depths of the darkness of this world and what it means to be here. And it really was starting to take its toll on me. And I think that for a huge portion of this pathway, I thought that, having these intuitive abilities, really tapping into my psychic abilities, were really going to make life easier. And it's not that it makes life easier, because it doesn't. If anything, it makes life feel incredibly harder. But then you are given the tools to be able to wield these expressions and wield these gifts that you have been given. And anyone is able to tap into their psychic abilities. I say gifts in terms of, being reawakened to those, but each soul holds inherent soul gifts that we are given the minute our soul is entered into any paradigm. And we carry those on with us. So many souls have come back time and time again. So we're just unlocking things within us that already exist. And I think that's the most important thing to understand and to notice, is that you're already whole, existing as a soul here, but you are just unlocking gifts that you've forgotten about in this previous existence to this one. So I think that there is perhaps many in the collective that are finding it difficult to find footing right now, to find a narrative to stay in, because it feels like you're in fragmented aspects of self and soul. And I want to say that's completely okay, specifically with regards to shadow season that we have. We have 2 more moons that are going to be in this eclipse season, which is bringing up a lot of shadow aspects for many. And I think a lot of deep and treacherous understandings and expressions that some might not be in full awareness of yet, but you're feeling those energies. So if you would like to work with me one-to-one, we can completely go through those energies together to help you understand what is going on for you. But I want to say that just try and ground yourself and just let the chaos happen. And the times when you can take some time out for self, just sit with yourself in order to receive, because it's been in my own energy that I've received the most amount of information. And this is something that Teams of Light brought to my understanding yesterday, because I said, these ideas and these understandings that I have, like, where do they come from? Because I think I sat in a lot of imposter syndrome for some time. And they said, we don't give you anything that your soul hasn't already experienced, or that your soul hasn't already conceived of itself. We just send that direct message to you. We allow for your higher self to be able to be connecting with you. And it's not until you step through into your full power and capacities here that you start to be able to make that connection a lot more clearer, a lot more smoother. And ways to do that is working with third eye opening activations and meditations, crown chakra opening activations and meditations, but also sitting with myself has brought me the most amount of information that I needed from my soul that I've ever experienced. I don't think that there is one right way to be able to tune into these energies, and as time goes on I'll share a little bit more of the tips and tricks along the way that I've learned. But just sitting with myself in silence and asking the questions out to the ether, to myself, calling in my teams of light, calling in my higher self and saying, okay, I have these questions, can you answer them for me? But I promise you, sometimes the answers don't come in the time that you want them to, but they come just in the right time for your life path. And there was years on this pathway that I just had no idea fully what was going on. I was just following all the synchronicities for about a week. I think I was just following feathers out there in the world. I was literally wandering the streets following feathers. I promise you, this was a real thing that happened. To gain that access to my intuition, but also to have this trust with the universe. So for a lot of this pathway, I've been walking blind, but somewhere deep in my heart, I just had this deep trust within the universe and within myself, because it wasn't the first time that I was stepping into this level of understanding the capacities that I have to be able to wield this amount of energy and this amount of power. But it takes some time, and it takes you finding the right pathway for you. So if you would like help finding the right pathway for you, please know that I'm completely here to support you. Do not hesitate to reach out. But this is just a note of it's okay wherever you find yourself, and please go easy. And if you feel like, life has gotten harder since creating this pathway for yourself, don't give up, because this is part of it. You will gain the tools that you need in order to be able to help you wherever you are. We are not given things that we can't overcome. That is just truths in this world. And that is a real difficult pill to swallow when you see some really struggling out there, but those souls have asked for that life path and that struggle. And when you have that, it kind of gives you a little bit more of a safety to move through this world. So whatever you are working through at this time, as insurmountable as it might seem, I promise you it's been given and gifted to you for a reason. And so many times on this pathway, I've noticed that my small macro life is actually understanding of the macro that is happening out there in the world. So sometimes when things feel really heavy, real chaotic, it's because you're working through these big aspects of life that you have decided to take on this lifetime. So please know that as well. If you're going through something that is incredibly challenging, it's because your soul decided to, not just for you but for others, and you can make it through, I promise. But please do not hesitate to reach out. That's exactly why I'm here, dripping in alchemy, and I'll be back again when it feels in alignment. Take care for now.